A chance encounter among the stars. The cargo bay of the resilient Nomad was Marcus Chen's entire world. 52 meters of reinforced steel and carbon composite that carried everything from medical supplies to farming equipment across the Cygnus Coalition outposts. As the ship's systems cycled through their decontamination protocols after docking at Outpost Helios 9, Marcus ran his hand over his 3-day stubble and waited for the green light to unload his latest haul. Decontamination complete. Cargo bay pressure normalized, announced the ship's AI in its flat mechanical voice. Marcus nodded to himself and tapped his wrist console. Begin unloading sequence for priority medical supplies, AIVA. The colonists have waited long enough. As the cargo bay doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss, Marcus caught a flicker of movement behind a stack of supply crates, something that definitely wasn't on his manifest. He froze, hand hovering over the sidearm strapped to his thigh. Space pirates were uncommon this far out, but not unheard of. "Show yourself," he called out, voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. "I'm armed, and this ship has security protocols that make hiding a very bad idea." After a moment of silence, 2 small figures emerged from behind the crates. They were clearly not human. Their skin was a pale blue with intricate patterns of bioluminescent dots that pulsed with each breath. 4 large eyes dominated each of their faces, and where humans would have had hair, they had translucent tendrils that moved gently as if underwater. They were thin, too thin, and the smaller one seemed to be leaning heavily on the larger one. "Please," said the taller one in broken trade standard, the universal language of the Coalition. "No harm. Need. Safe." Marcus lowered his weapon slowly. The aliens before him were clearly not pirates. They were refugees, and from the looks of them, they hadn't eaten in days. "How did you get on my ship?" he asked, his tone softer now. "Climbed. When loading on Proxima Station." The taller alien's voice was melodic, despite the obvious strain. "Looking for passage. Anywhere. Away." Marcus sighed. Stowaways meant paperwork, potential fines, and definitely a delay in his schedule. But the Coalition had strict humanitarian protocols, and these 2 clearly needed help. "When's the last time you ate?" he asked, reaching for his personal ration pack. The aliens exchanged glances. 3 cycles, the taller one finally said. Marcus broke open his ration pack and held it out. "It's human food, but the proteins should be compatible with most carbon-based life forms." The smaller alien reached out tentatively, took the offered food, and began to eat with desperate intensity. The taller one watched protectively before accepting a portion for herself. "I'm Marcus," he said. "What can I call you?" "I am Eleora," said the taller one. "This is my sister, Talia. We are Luminar." Marcus had heard of the Luminars, a reclusive, peaceful species from the Andromeda sector. They were known for their advanced biological sciences and their strict policy of neutrality in galactic politics. Seeing them this far into Cygnus space was unusual, to say the least. "You're a long way from home," Marcus observed. Eleora's tendrils flattened against her head. A sign of distress, Marcus guessed. "Home is gone. Taken by the Krell Empire. They want what we are." The Krell, a militaristic empire known for their technological prowess and ruthless expansion. If they had invaded Luminar territory, it was big news, though out here on the fringes of Coalition space, information traveled slowly. "What do you mean, what you are?" Marcus asked. Instead of answering, Eleora took her sister's hand. The bioluminescent dots on their skin began to pulse in unison, growing brighter until the cargo bay was bathed in a soft blue glow. Then, to Marcus's astonishment, a small orb of pure energy formed between their joined hands, pulsing, living light that seemed to bend the very fabric of reality around it. "We are light-bearers," Eleora said simply, "last of the royal lineage. The Krell want our genetic material to create weapons." Marcus stared at the orb of energy. He had heard legends of the Luminar Lightbearers, beings who could manipulate energy at its most fundamental level, but had dismissed them as spacer myths. "That's impressive," he managed. The orb dissipated, and the sisters slumped visibly, exhausted by even this small demonstration. "You need more than food," Marcus said, making a quick decision. "AIVA, delay the unloading sequence. Medical supplies only, then seal the bay. We have unexpected guests." "That action contradicts Coalition quarantine protocols," the AI responded. "Override, authorization, Chen Alpha 79. Medical emergency." The AI paused. "Override accepted. Cargo bay sealed after medical supply deployment." Marcus turned back to the sisters. "Let's get you to the crew quarters. You need rest, food, and then we'll figure out what to do next." As Marcus led the sisters through the narrow corridors of the resilient Nomad, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. "Warning," AIVA announced. "Unknown vessel approaching. Scanning profile matches Krell Hunter-class cruiser." Eleora's tendrils flattened completely against her head. "They found us. They always find us." Marcus swore under his breath. "AIVA, initiate emergency departure protocols. Contact Helios 9 Control. Tell them we have a mechanical failure requiring immediate departure." "That is a false report and violates Coalition." "Just do it," Marcus snapped, leading the sisters toward the bridge. "And prepare jump engines for immediate activation." On the bridge, the main view screen showed a sleek, predatory vessel approaching. All angles and gleaming black metal, with weapons ports clearly visible along its hull. "Incoming transmission," AIVA announced. "Ignore it," Marcus ordered, sliding into the pilot's seat. "Divert all power to engines and shields." The ship shuddered as Marcus manually overrode the docking clamps and pushed the thrusters to maximum. The resilient Nomad wasn't built for speed or combat, but it had one advantage. Marcus knew every system, every quirk, every potential the ship had to offer. "They're targeting our engines," Eleora said, her large eyes fixed on the tactical display. "How do you know that?" Marcus asked, hands flying over the controls. "I can feel their weapon systems charging. Energy speaks to us." Marcus didn't question it. "AIVA, prepare to vent Cargo Bay 3 on my mark. That action will result in loss of valuable cargo," the AI protested. "Better than losing the ship. Mark." The cargo bay doors blew open, sending a cloud of debris and supply crates into space, directly into the path of the pursuing vessel. It wasn't much, but it bought them precious seconds as the Krell ship adjusted course. "Jump engines charged to 63%, AIVA reported. "Not enough for a safe jump," Marcus muttered. "We need at least 85. Eleora and Telia exchanged looks. Then, without warning, they pressed their hands against the ship's console. Their bioluminescent patterns began to pulse rapidly, and the bridge lighting flickered. "What are you doing?" Marcus demanded. "Helping," Eleora said through gritted teeth. "Your engines need energy. We have energy." The jump drive indicator suddenly surged, climbing rapidly. 70%, 80%, 90%. Jump engines at 105% capacity, AIVA announced, a note of surprise in its artificial voice. "Warning, system overload imminent. Jump now," Marcus shouted, punching in coordinates for the nearest Coalition safe harbor. The stars on the view screen stretched into lines, and the resilient Nomad tore through the fabric of space, leaving the Krell Hunter far behind. As the ship stabilized in jump space, Marcus turned to find both Luminar sisters collapsed on the deck, their bioluminescence faded to a dull flicker. AIVA, medical scan. Marcus ordered, kneeling beside them. Life signs stable but weakened, detecting severe energy depletion consistent with extreme exertion. Marcus gently lifted Talia, the smaller sister, and carried her to his quarters, returning quickly for Eleora. As he laid them on his bunk, Iliora's eyes fluttered open. "You fed us," she whispered. "You protected us. Why?" Marcus shook his head. "Because it was the right thing to do. And now we're all in this together, whatever this is." Iliora's tendrils moved weakly in what might have been a smile. Humans, always surprising. Her eyes closed again as exhaustion claimed her. Marcus stood watching the sisters for a long moment. He had just made enemies of the Krell Empire, violated at least 6 coalition regulations, and potentially started an interstellar incident. And yet, looking at the peaceful faces of the 2 aliens he had saved, he couldn't bring himself to regret it. "AIVA," he said quietly, "set course for the abandoned mining colony in the Vega Drift, and erase all records of our departure from Helios 9. That action violates coalition transparency protocols," the AI responded. Marcus smiled grimly. "I think we're well past worrying about protocols now." As the resilient nomad sailed through jump space, Marcus began planning. He was just one human with a cargo ship against an empire. But humans had always been good at beating the odds, and Marcus had no intention of breaking that tradition. Light in the darkness. The abandoned mining colony on Vega Drift had been deserted for nearly 20 years, a casualty of shifting economic priorities and resource depletion. Now, it served as the perfect hiding place for a human supply runner and 2 alien refugees on the run from an interstellar empire. Marcus guided the resilient nomad into a cavernous maintenance bay, carved directly into an asteroid. The ship's landing struts groaned as they settled onto the dusty deck, and the echo reverberated through the vast, empty space. "Environmental scan complete," AIVA announced. "Atmosphere thin but breathable. No life signs detected. Power systems dormant but functional." Marcus nodded, checking the medical scanner he'd cobbled together from ship supplies. Iliora and Talia had been unconscious for nearly 2 days after their energy expenditure had saved the ship. They were recovering, but slowly. AIVA. Initiate minimal life support protocols for the main habitat section. Route emergency power only. Nothing that would generate a signature detectable from orbit. Acknowledged. Warning. This facility has been abandoned for 19.3 standard years. Structural integrity may be compromised in sections. Noted, Marcus replied, moving to check on the sisters. They were awake now, their luminescence dim but steady. Talia was sitting up, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she absorbed their new surroundings. "Where are we?" Iliora asked, her melodic voice stronger than before. "Vega Drift. Abandoned mining colony. We should be safe here while you recover," Marcus explained, helping her to sit up. "How are you feeling?" "Depleted, but recovering," Iliora said. Her translucent tendrils moved gently, curling and uncurling. "You have taken great risks for us, Marcus Chen." Marcus shrugged. "I've never been good at following rules when they don't make sense, and leaving you to the Krell definitely didn't make sense." Talia, who had been mostly silent since their rescue, suddenly spoke. "The Krell will not stop searching. They need us to complete their Nexus project." "Nexus project?" Marcus asked, setting down a container of nutrient paste he'd prepared for them. The sisters exchanged glances, their bioluminescent patterns synchronizing briefly. "It is their attempt to harness the fundamental energies of creation," Iliora explained. "The Lightbearer ability is genetic, passed down through the royal lineage of our people. The Krell believe they can extract this ability, replicate it, weaponize it." "And can they?" Marcus asked. "Not without us," Talia said softly. "Not without living Lightbearers. We are the last." The weight of those words hung in the air between them. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, thinking. "Well, they'll have to get through me first," he said finally. "And I'm notoriously hard to get through." For the next week, they worked to make the abandoned colony habitable. Marcus used his engineering skills to restore basic systems without triggering any external signals that might be detected. The Luminar sisters, growing stronger daily, helped in ways that amazed him. Their ability to sense and manipulate energy allowed them to restart ancient systems that should have been beyond repair. During the long nights of the artificial day-night cycle Marcus had established, they shared stories. Marcus told them of Earth, of the early colony ships, of humanity's stubborn determination to reach the stars despite all obstacles. The sisters spoke of Luminar, of crystal cities that sang with light, of a culture built on harmony and understanding of the universe's fundamental energies. Our abilities were never meant for war, Eleora explained one evening as they sat in the small communal area Marcus had restored. We were healers, creators, explorers of energy's potential. Show me, Marcus said. The sisters joined hands, and the now familiar orb of energy formed between them. But this time, instead of simply demonstrating, they guided the orb toward a small, withered plant Marcus had found growing in a forgotten hydroponics bay, one of the few living things to survive the colony's abandonment. As the energy touched the plant, it transformed. Withered leaves unfurled, green color returned, and within moments, the plant was vibrant and alive, even producing a small, delicate flower. That's incredible, Marcus breathed. Life energy, Talia said simply. We channel it, focus it, return it to its proper flow. And the Krell want to turn that into a weapon, Marcus said, shaking his head. All energy can be weapon, Eleora said sadly. Even healing energy, if twisted enough. Their moment of connection was interrupted by a sudden alarm from the colony's restored sensor array. Marcus rushed to the control panel, his heart sinking as he read the display. Krell vessels, he said grimly. 3 of them, approaching the drift. They must have tracked our jump signature somehow. Eleora's tendrils flattened against her head. The energy we used to boost your engines, it would have left a unique trace, one they could follow, given enough time. Marcus nodded, already formulating a plan. AIVA, begin silent evacuation protocols for the Nomad. Prepare for immediate departure. Negative. The AI responded. Krell vessels have established a gravitational lock on the asteroid. Departure is not possible without breaking the lock. Marcus swore under his breath. Then we fight. With what? Eleora asked. Your cargo ship has no weapons. No, Marcus agreed with a grim smile. But this mining colony does, or did. And I've been exploring while you were recovering. He led them deeper into the colony, to a sealed chamber he'd discovered days earlier, but hadn't had time to investigate fully. This colony was abandoned during the border conflicts, he explained as he worked to override the ancient security locks. The Coalition installed defense systems on all frontier outposts, even mining colonies. The door slid open with a groan of protesting metal, revealing a chamber filled with outdated but potentially functional defensive weaponry, point defense turrets, shield generators, and even a small electromagnetic pulse cannon. Most of it's probably non-functional, Marcus admitted. But we don't need all of it. We just need enough to break that gravity lock so we can escape. They worked frantically, Marcus applying his engineering knowledge to restore the most critical systems, while the sisters used their energy manipulation to power components that would have otherwise remained dead. Within hours, they had cobbled together a makeshift defense system, not enough to defeat 3 Krell warships, but perhaps enough to create an opening. The colony shuddered as the first Krell ship docked, cutting through the outer hull with mechanical precision. They're breaching the north sector, AIVA reported. Estimated time to our position, 12 minutes. Marcus took a deep breath, checking the jury-rigged control panel for their improvised defenses. Eleora, Talia, I need you both to get to the Nomad. The moment you see an opening, take off. We will not leave you, Eleora said firmly, her tendrils rigid with determination. This isn't a debate, Marcus insisted. If the Krell get both of you, they win. If they get just me, well, I'm just one stubborn human. Not much use to them. You underestimate your value, Marcus Chen, Talia said quietly. and you underestimate what we can do together." Before Marcus could argue further, the sound of metal footsteps echoed down the corridor, the unmistakable cadence of Krell combat drones. Marcus activated the first line of defense, and the corridor filled with ancient security lasers, cutting down the first wave. But more would come. "We don't have time for this," he muttered, fingers flying over the control panel to activate the EMP cannon. If they could disable the gravitational lock, they might have a chance. The cannon powered up slowly, too slowly. The second wave of Krell forces had reached the outer door to their position, cutting through with plasma torches. "It's not going to charge in time," Marcus realized with growing despair. The sisters looked at each other, then at Marcus. Without a word, they placed their hands on the cannon's power coupling. Their bioluminescence flared brilliantly, patterns synchronizing into complex formations Marcus had never seen before. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "What we were born to do," Eleora said, her voice trained. "Channel energy. Direct it. Focus it." The cannon's power levels surge, far beyond its designed capacity. Marcus watched in amazement as the ancient weapon came fully online, its targeting systems locking onto the Krell vessels outside. "Fire," he whispered, and pressed the activation sequence. The electromagnetic pulse that erupted from the colony was unlike anything Marcus had ever witnessed, a wave of pure energy that expanded outward, engulfing the Krell ships. Their systems failed instantly, lights flickering out, weapons powering down, gravitational locks disengaging. But the victory came at a cost. As the pulse faded, both Luminar sisters collapsed, their luminescence dimming to dangerous levels. "AIVA, medical scan," Marcus shouted, gathering Talia in his arms while checking Eleora. "Life signs critical," the AI responded. "Severe energy depletion detected. Recommend immediate medical intervention." Marcus carried them both back to the Nomad, laying them gently in the medical bay. The ship's limited medical capabilities were designed for human physiology, not Luminar. "Stay with me," he urged, preparing the ship for emergency departure. AIVA, set course for Centauri Prime. Maximum speed. Centauri Prime is a restricted coalition medical facility, AIVA noted. Access requires. "I know what it requires," Marcus cut in. "Just get us there." As the resilient Nomad broke free from the mining colony and accelerated away from the disabled Krell vessels, Marcus returned to the sisters' side. Their luminescence was barely visible now, their breathing shallow. "You shouldn't have done that," he said softly. "Not for me." Eleora's eyes opened slightly. "Not just for you," she whispered. "For all of us. The universe needs balance." Her hand reached out weakly, finding his. As their fingers touched, Marcus felt a strange sensation, a warmth that spread up his arm and throughout his body. Where her skin touched his, tiny points of light appeared, like miniature stars embedded in his human flesh. "What are you doing?" he asked, alarmed. "Giving? Gift," she managed. "Light-bearer energy. Cannot die. Must continue." Marcus tried to pull away, suddenly understanding. "No, save your strength. You need it to heal." But Eleora's grip was surprisingly strong. "Too late for us," she said, "but not for what we represent. The Krell must not win. The light must continue." The points of light spread further across Marcus's skin, sinking deeper, becoming part of him. He felt a surge of energy unlike anything he had ever experienced, as though he could suddenly perceive the universe in its most fundamental form, energy flowing through all things. "I don't understand," he said, though part of him was beginning to. "You will," Talia whispered, her own hand joining her sister's. "First human light-bearer. They will never expect it." As the resilient Nomad raced toward Centauri Prime, Marcus felt the sisters' life energy flowing into him, not diminishing them, but transforming, changing, becoming something new. Their physical forms began to shimmer, becoming translucent, then transparent, then dissolving into pure light that coalesced around Marcus before sinking into his being. In their final moments of physical existence, both sisters smiled, a genuine expression of peace and hope. "Carry the light, Marcus Chen," Iliora's voice echoed in his mind. "Show the universe what humans and luminars can achieve, together." Then they were gone, their physical forms completely transformed into energy that now resided within Marcus himself. He stared at his hands in wonder and grief as points of light, identical to the sisters' bioluminescent patterns, flickered beneath his skin. "AIVA," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Change of plans. Set course for Earth. I need to speak with the Coalition High Council." Amendment noted. The AI responded, "May I inquire as to the purpose?" Marcus looked out at the stars streaking past the view screen, feeling the new energy within him, powerful, ancient, and now inexplicably intertwined with his humanity. "To prevent a war," he said, "and to start a revolution." As the resilient nomad jumped to faster-than-light travel, carrying its single passenger toward the heart of human civilization, the first human light-bearer began to understand what he had been given, and what responsibility now rested on his shoulders. The sisters had changed him forever, but in doing so, they had also changed the fate of the galaxy. What had begun with a simple act of kindness, feeding 2 starving alien refugees, had become something far greater, a new hope for balance in a universe teetering on the edge of darkness. And Marcus Chen, once a simple supply runner, would be the light that showed the way forward.